It is 17 minutes now before the hour, 75 degrees in downtown Sylacauga. President of the Sylacauga City Council and District 1 Representative Jim Heigl joins us. Jim, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Jimmy Dale. Glad you had me back again.
It's good to have you. Good to have you with us as always. And you have announced that you will, of course, seek re-election for District 1. Let's talk about that a little bit. You're finishing up your first four-year term.
This is my first term, yes, and I'm going for a second.
President of the City Council, what does that mean?
President of the City Council, I was nominated and elected by my constituents, on the council.
That's a pretty good perk, I guess.
Well, it was. It was quite a surprise. I wasn't expecting it, my first term in office. But I got a great bunch of guys, you work with them, and I really enjoyed it.
What have you learned in your first term as city councilman?
Quite a bit. Every day there's always something coming up I'm learning. Some people say I spend too much time at City Hall, but I'm being retired, I've got the time to do it. And as president of the City Council, I'm also liaison to the city clerk's office, where majority of most of our procedures go through, the monies, everything else goes through there. And also as president of the City Council, I'm also on the not the planning commission, but the Sam Wright's board for the I'm trying to think of which, we got 14 boards,
There's probably so many boards, it's hard to keep up with the names of all of them, but as you have served in the City Council District 1 for 4 years, kind of assess the city where you believe we are right now. Growing
slowly. I've tried to push for two things, mainly paving and annexation. We've had people out there, especially in District 1, we've grown. Through this last census here, I had to give up almost 600 of my constituents, to District 2 and also to District 3. And with me growing, they grow. And it's been a push. I mean, the money we've had to watch it real close, real close. Right now, we have taken in over $786,000 more than we've had paid out so far on this budget. We're doing pretty good. And our finances are there for anybody to see. It's best for if they really want to see our finances, come to the second council work session of every month. And that's when you'll pick up all the information, what's been paid out, what's been paid in for the previous month. It's all an open book. You're welcome to see it anytime you want to.
Talk about the paving a little bit. A little over $1 million spent on paving, and that's really not a lot, but we got a lot of streets that really are concerning yet still.
Yeah, but you got a lot of streets look better today than they did a month ago. Yeah, it's going to take time. We haven't, like I said, the economy. This is not just the economy in Sylacauga. This is nationwide, And we're going to have some more paving next year. It's got to be done. And there's other things that we've got to look at next year too. Not only next year, but for the next council.
And speaking of, if you're re-elected for another 4-year term, some things that are on the table now that you'd like to see expanded on.
Oh, absolutely. When I get re-elected, I'm going to keep pushing for the pavement. That's got to come. We got drainage problems. We got curbing problems. We've got sidewalk problems. We've got grants out there, and we're working on those. We got grants out there for Lake Howard area, and we've already hired a engineering company to look at all of our Avondale properties. So they're looking at that and assessing that, and they're going to tell us the best use for that property. So I know a lot of people talk about sports complex and everything else, but we've made the first step. Now, if they want to use Avondale property, we will already have this part of the step out of the way, and we'll know if they can use it for that, for a sports complex or whatever it is.
There's been a number of people question, well, we've had the Avondale property for some time now. What are the plans for that area?
Well, if you look at the map, we just about got all the Avondale, what they call the Mill Village area, we got them surrounded. I'm sure that's going to wind up coming into the city eventually. And with the economy, it grows and everything else, I'm sure it's going to be able to be fixed up. It'll all be brought in together. I've got them on the east side, District 2, District 3, they got them on the east and south side, and District 5's got them on the west side. So we pretty well got the whole area surrounded, but it's going to be developed in time to come.
How would you respond to a person who would say, well, I tell you, that Jim Heigl, he's tight with the money.
Sure, I'm going to be tight with the money. It's not my money. It's the people's money. I'm going to look after it. Yes, I'm going to look after it. It's your tax money. I'm not going to spend it foolishly. I'm not going to, we've got certain things that our main purpose is we got to supply or furnish monies to the various departments that provide the services to all our citizens of Sylacauga. That's your police, your fire, your street, your sanitation. We got to look after those things. That's going to be our first priority. Then we've been very fortunate to have money left over that we've been able to support other boards that we appoint. Of course, the recreation and also the library, they're entities of the city. Actually, we got monies we're going to be putting into that. We got to look at these things. If we got money to spend in other areas, absolutely, I'd be glad to. Come up with a good plan, be glad to help you support it every way I can. I go to these meetings to help support them.
The new budget looms ahead, and you already gone through one budget hearing and hammering out a budget. You know, as you mentioned, monies is something you have to look at, and everybody needs it for their particular entity.
Of course they do. And we need these people. We need these entities because they add to our quality of life here in Sylacauga. They all need it. But they're going to have to learn, like we have to learn, that we just cannot spend it foolishly. We like to invest in those things that we know we're going to get a return on.
Are we going to be able to glean anything from our experience in pursuing the 280 corridor as far as a new complex out there or a new addition to the city of Sylacauga?
Well, the 280 corridor, well, as you know, we're sort of limited on how much space we got down that 280 corridor. I hate we had two opportunities to develop the 33.5 acres, and of course the first one fell through, and then now the second one is falling through. This corridor...
Is that frustrating?
It is. And first what we had, well, I mean, it was great. It was expensive, but it was a good, solid business. But that's water under the bridge now. There's not enough we can do about that. But a development like this, there's not too many people or companies that are going to come in here and do a job like this. The drinkers did. I mean, they did it for over 50 years. They knew what they were doing. Retail specialists, they were a little bit newer, you know, but they were doing these things. But learning from Mr. Gilpin, there's not that many companies like that's going to come in and do this project. They're out there doing these huge malls.
How do you think that your experience speaks to voters and there are other candidates running for District 1 City Council? How do you think your experience in the last 4 years will benefit you come August 28th?
Well, I know we've all got our ideas. I got my plans. I want to protect the 21 corridor from here all the way up to Winterboro if possible. In the future, we need to hang on to that. We lost a good bit of 280 with Oak Grove incorporating. We got to protect ourselves and not let that happen. 21 is flat, and people out there want to come into the city. Sycamore is just a tad outside, but one thing that helps us, they do have a volunteer fire department. They have their own water system, everything else. But almost half of Sycamore is already annexed into the city. And I think we need, even the old field, a lot of the old farms and all out there, the old farms and the small farms, they're dissipated. Now you're looking at places out there may become eventually, not for sure, I don't know, but you look at some of the further out areas, it could be some type of manufacturing out there. But you have to have something that's really going to protect the environment. That's going to be my first concern, you know.
Jim Heigl, our guest this morning. Jim, the incumbent District 1 City Councilman, and you know, that covers quite a bit of area, even though you lost some of your constituents to the annexation and the relocating of district lines. But
well, that shows growth. It's growing.
Yeah.
When I grow, they can grow, you know. And we got a lot of growth coming around here. People talk about jobs. Yes, I'm concerned about jobs. Look forward. I've been going to IDB board meetings and Talladega Economic Development in East Alabama and ADO. Been finding out what's going on, and you go back and look, Fleetwood Metals, they've already expanded twice. You look at Heritage Plastics, look at Bluebell. We had to close 2 streets where Bluebell could expand. Look at the NEMAC. When we came in the office, I think they were employing somewhere about 300 people. You know how many they're employing today?
The second largest employer in the county, I know that.
800. And our hospital, that's our largest employee right here in the city. And our hospital's growing. They're putting in new units for cardiac surgery and other things. And there's going to be a time in the near future you won't have to go to Birmingham somewhere to get a stent put in. They'll be doing it right here in Sylacauga.
You're a military guy. You were one of the speakers when we sent off a troop from the Sylacauga National Guard Armory here in Sylacauga. And, you know, those guys and ladies are special, Jim Heigl.
Well, they are special. The only thing I'm going to say about this, I don't want to bring military into this political thing. I mean, we got other political pawns, but as far as military, the only thing I hate about these guys, when we went in, we're deployed, we were young. We were 18, 19, 20 years old. These guys here, they got wives, they got kids. They're up in their 20s and 30s and years old. That's what I hate about it, you know. It's just heartbreaking to see these men have to leave their wives and their kids.
Where I was going with this is when they finish their tour,
yeah,
they're coming back to Sylacauga, and they're going to be looking at education for their children. They're going to be looking at businesses and that kind of thing. How can we continue to grow to better Sylacauga?
Well, what's being done now, people out there working now to bring industry and jobs into Sylacauga. Our schools are training kids today to do jobs that haven't even been created yet. These things are happening. Right now, 80% of our growth is with our present industries, like I mentioned, you know, NEMAC and the hospitals and all these others. They're growing, they're creating jobs. You got one new industry. I heard about ICO back in '06 when I was attending the IDB board meetings. And of course, it was new, but look, here it is, 12, almost 6 years later. See how far they've gotten, that's how long. We've got another company I heard about 4 years ago. And we thought they were gone for a while, but they're back. They came back twice this year. And so that's an opportunity for another industry coming. Industry takes time. You just don't, nobody's got a magic wand, no. We got 3 major things that can attract certain types of businesses. And we got a 4th that we need to really develop. But it takes time, Jim Dale. You're not going to find it. And we got to really help our people today who has already got businesses here and help them to grow. Meet with them. What can we do? Keep Sylacauga beautiful. You know, Sam and I were invited to meet a CEO of a company. Just give you an example what some of the people can do. Sam, being the PR man he is, he tells them about Sylacauga. He said, well, I know that. He says, we were here 6, 8 months ago. I know about your hospital. You got a beautiful hospital. I saw your churches. I saw the grounds. I saw your library. I saw your schools. What's that one out there in Twin? That's Nickel Lawson. That's a beautiful school. These people have been here looking at Sylacauga. They're probably even, you never know when they're going to come in. But they've been here. They've looked at us. They know about our school system. And the one thing about it was safe. Well, I tell you, some of them, they were completely flabbergasted about safe and what they do. And you take some, and they talk about these kids dropping out of school. Our dropouts got an opportunity to get their GED and move on because it's safe. And we got so many assets in this town that we just need to take advantage of. We need to look at it. Just help these people. Go to their meetings and talk to them. And if you can help them, fine. If you can't, go to another meeting, you know. If you got expertise in something, go up there and be part of it. Go to your Board of Education meetings, see what's going on. Go to your IDB board meetings. Go to your chamber meetings. Go to your planning commission meetings. You know, it's something going on in this town all the time.
Well, obviously, that being the case, but, you know, to be perfectly honest, we don't have a lot of people who are involved in going to these meetings, going to city council meetings, going to whatever meeting it is. You know, people have got a lot of things going on. That's why they go to the polls and elect people like Jim Heigl to represent them.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to represent them. I'm going to be at those meetings. And even, well, I'm planning on getting reelected. I'm going to be there. But there's some of these boards here, even after I give up serving in public office, I'm going to be a part of them. It's wonderful things out there at our Marble Fest. It's unbelievable what they're bringing in and the national, international communications they're bringing. And even our IDB board, they've gone advertising in Oriental Asian magazines and papers. And the feedback from that has been great. That's how they sold the spec building up in Talladega. Our spec building here at Sylacauga, we've got a company looking at that now. I mean, companies looked at it, but now it looks like we've got another company that's going to come in here and look at it. Mayor
Wright, course, not seeking re-election, but he has sat in that chair several times and talked about, Jimmy Dale, the most frustrating thing that I've faced as mayor of Sylacauga is the wheels of progress turn so slowly.
Government also, it does turn slowly. But it's, you know, business people, they can pretty well make decisions right off the bat, you know, say, well, yeah, I can do this, you know, I can see it, you know. But with government and progress, it takes time. You got so many people involved, and you got to be right. You got state laws, you got national laws, you got your ordinances, you got so many things that come into play. And people need just to work together. Your council needs to work together. You need to work with your mayor. Some people say, well, you're too close to Sam Wright. Well, he's there for one purpose. I mean, he was elected for one office, I was elected for another, but yet we're both here for the same thing, for all the people of Sylacauga.
There will be a new mayor, there will be new faces on city council in the 28th municipal election in August, and a lot of people are saying, hey, it's time for change. There's a number of people running in District 1. Why should they go to the polls and vote to re-elect Jim Heigl?
What needs to be changed? I mean, I hear this all the time. Well, we need change, we need change. Well, what's broken? You know, that's what bothers me, you know. I said, get out and see what we got. If it's broken, let's do fix that one thing. But come up here and think, I'm just not into negative vibes, you know, as they used to say. There's a lot of positive things happening in our city. We just need to keep growing. And we are going to grow. We're not going to grow at a fast rate with the economy the way it is, but we're growing slowly. We haven't laid off any of our employees. We haven't cut their hours back. We've provided them with some of the finest equipment they can get. We've got a great fire chief, a great police chief. We've got a new course clerk officer there that's really done marvelous things with that. We've got a great city clerk, and she's got a great staff. People just need to get down there and see what's going on. And now, my constituents out there, or not my constituents, but my opponents out there got a better idea, come on and get it. Put it out there. Let's see.
So when you talk to people in District 1, what are you telling them about voting for Jim Heigl for election?
Jim Heigl, I'm going to stand on my record as it has for the past almost 4 years. I'm going to continue serving them. I'm going to keep trying to make wise decisions. I'm going to be watching their monies closely. I'm going to be watching the economy. And if there's anybody out there I can help, I'm going to help them. That's what I'm here for. I get calls 7 days a week, morning, noon, night, weekends, you know. It doesn't bother. I mean, then this becomes my problem. And if I can't, I'll tell them, no, I'm sorry, we can't do this. They got upset because a tree fell on the house. They tried to make a big issue. But the city just cannot walk in there on your property and do. We got things that we have to go through procedures to do, and that happened when John Gladness was here. But it took a long time, but it got done because first it was this person's had the deed to it, this person had, no, there's a lien on it, no, this mortgage company's got it. And you got to run all that mess down.
You have to persevere, don't you?
Yeah, it sure does. I tell you what. But it gets done. It will get done. It may be slow turning, but it will get done. And it's going to be for the best of everybody.
We got the forum coming up on Thursday. I guess you'll be there for that? Yeah,
maybe just a little bit late. Planning Commission's got something coming up, and it really depends. Of course, as being president of the council, I need to attend those things because I do have a vote in there, and even though it is appointed by the mayor. But I got to get that little schedule worked out. Okay. So if it's not too bad on the agenda, yeah, I'll be there at the forum. Okay. Looking forward to it.
Jim Heigl, our guest. Jim, the incumbent City Council District 1, president of the Sylacauga City Council, who is running for re-election in the August 28th municipal election. Jim, always a pleasure, sir. Thanks for dropping by.
Well, I appreciate you asking me.
More on Daybreak in a minute.